Hey guys, Mr. Bradley again. Remember back when we were looking at Bob, Donna, and Jason and their video game playing, and we were trying to figure out, well, who's the best player? And first we looked at what's called the median score. That is the middle score when the scores are put in order. Well, that's not the only way to measure typicalness or center. Another measure of central tendency, which you need to know, is called the mean. The mean is also known as the average. So in this video, we're going to look at how can we calculate the average. What's Bob's average score? What is Donna's average score? And what is Jason's average score? That's what the mean is for. It measures the average based on that data set. So let's take a look.
Now, the way that average works, the way that mean works, is you basically take all of their scores and you total it up, and then you redistribute it or divide it out to 5 days so you can get an even distribution. Sounds complicated, but it's actually not. Let me show you how to do it. First, I'm going to add a little column here, and I'm going to write total. Okay, I'm going to total up each of these players' scores. So let me grab my calculator, and I'll do the totals. Right, so I added up Bob's scores, and for the 5 days, he scored a total of 480 points. Now I'm going to add Donna's. Okay, so according to this, when I add all this up, Donna scored a total of 475 points. Okay, those are her total scores. And then last, I will do Jason. Okay, Jason scored a total of 455 points. So now I have the totals for each player. That's not the average.
So to calculate the average or the mean, all I have to do is take the total and I will divide it amongst the 5 days. Because remember, there's 5 scores, so I'm going to divide it for 5 days. So if I take, I'll go backwards because I still have the 455 from Jason in my calculator. So I'm going to divide that by 5, and that will evenly spread his score across 5 days. So divide that by 5, and Jason's average score, even though he had 110 points that one day, and he also had the lowest, 80, his average score was 91 points per day. So I'm going to do points per day. That's his average. That's his mean. Now let's calculate the other two.
So I'm going to take 475, that was the total points, divide that amongst 5 days, and Donna's, you think it was higher or lower? It was higher. She had 95 points per day. That's her average. And you can see that on average, she had 95, which makes sense because that was also her median score. And then lastly, Bob, he had 480. If I divide that by 5, he had 96 points per day. That's his average. On average, he had 96 points per day. Does it mean he scored 96 points per day? No, it means on average he did. That's his average score. If I take all of his points and divide it out evenly, on average it ends up being 96 points per day. So that's how you calculate mean. So if I was going to look at the mean scores, I would say, oh, okay, well, it looks like Bob is the best player because he has the highest average. He has the highest mean. So therefore, he would be the best player, and then Donna would be the second best player. And even though Jason had the highest score one day, he's actually the worst player if we're using his mean score to compare. That's how you find mean.
Okay, today we're going to be looking at the mean. The mean is the sum of all the items divided by the number of items in a set of data. In other words, mean means the average. So today we're going to find the mean in the first example. Remember, there are a couple steps with finding the mean. First, you're going to add up all the numbers in the set of data, and next you're going to divide by how many numbers of items there are in the data set. That will give you a good average or a good mean. So to find the mean of each data set, here's the first one. The table shows the number of books borrowed from the school library from Monday through Friday last week. So Monday we had 120, Tuesday we had 148, Wednesday 165, Thursday 147, and Friday 180. So what we're going to start with is the idea of finding the sum or the total, whichever one you want to say, sum and total. So we're going to be adding up some numbers here.
Add up 120, I'm going to cross off so I remember I have it, plus 148, God, plus 165, plus 147, plus 180.
We know that you know how to add. So what I'm going to suggest is your calculator. It can be your friend. When you add those values up, your total, sum or total, equals 760. Now Now, what are you going to do? You have that number. You have 760. You did the first step. You added up all the data in your set. So the next step is to divide by how many items you have. So let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them. So if I take my 760, my total, and divide it by 5, here's another way you can write it, 760 divided by 5, you'll get a final answer. And remember, once again, we don't need to see that long division. We know you have a calculator. You can use your calculator to divide 760 divided by 5. When you do that, your mean or your average is going to be 152. 152 what? 152 books. That would be the average, right? So there's an example for number 1. Let's take a look at number 2. Read over with you here. The table shows the number of cars sold by a company from January to June last year.
So I can see January was 102 cars, February 80, March 75, April 64, May 143, and June 112. And we want to find out the average number of cars sold. Do you remember what we do?
Finding the sum will be important, right? And then you have to divide by the number you have. At this point, I would pause and have you give it a go. But before you give it a go, let's see. Will you get that sum? What if I told you the sum was 576 cars? If 576 cars is the sum, could you find the average? All right, pause the video right here and see what you can do. All right, if you pause the video, let's see how you did.
Sum, 576, which of course was 102 plus 80 plus 75 plus 64 plus 143 plus 112. And if you had done that, it should have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's where the 6 comes in play.
Because now if I take that total of 576 cars and divide it by the 6 months, it will give me an average or a mean of the number of cars that were sold each month. And your answer then should have been 96 cars as an average. The last one, give it a go. Try it on your own. See how it turns out. The table shows the number of seeds grown in each flower bed. There's your seeds. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flower beds. That could be a good thing to remember. And then remember to find that sum. Find that sum using the 7 flower beds as a helpful hint to figure out the average. Good luck, guys. See you later. Bye.